Happy Easter! Today we are going to hear about how much God loves us and how it doesn't matter what we have done, Jesus still wants us to accept His gift of forgiveness. Romans 5:8 tells us that God showed His great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners.
Barabbas saw his dad coming, and his dad was rubbing his leg and was limping along. And Barabbas comes and said, Dad, what happened? His dad says, they kicked me again. You see, Barabbas' dad worked for the government, worked for the Romans. And the Romans treated the Jews horribly. If they didn't move fast enough, they kicked them. Barabbas thought, ugh, I hate the Romans. Ugh. One day, Barabbas was playing with his friends. They were playing kickball just alongside the road there. And this Roman chariot comes roaring around the corner, and he runs right over his kickball. Ruins it. The Roman guard goes, Another day, Barabbas' little brother was sitting alongside the road, not bothering anybody. And the Roman guard comes along with his chariot and runs over Barabbas' little brother, crushing his legs, and now he can't walk. And that bitterness and that anger grew into hatred. Brother Barabbas said, oh, I hate the Romans. And then he started going around and he would grab people and say, give me their money. Give me your money. He started robbing from them. Well, one day, Barabbas had a stick, a big stick, and he hid it behind his back, and he came up to this person and he says, give me your money. And the guy says, no, you can't make me. Barabbas takes out the stick and goes, whoa, hits him across the head. The guy falls down into the ground, and he lies there. And somebody came by and looked at him and says, Barabbas, you have killed somebody. And before he could escape, Barabbas, he tried to get away, but the guards grabbed him, and they took him in front of the governor. And the governor says, is it true that you killed somebody? And Barabbas goes, yes. And if I had a big stick, I'd hit you over the head also. The governor goes, because you have killed somebody, you will be killed. Because you have killed somebody, you will be executed. And they grabbed Barabbas. When they grabbed him, they put him in his chains. Big chains around his hands so he couldn't get out of it. And he was in this little tiny cell. He took him there, and he walked back and forth. And he goes, ah! I hate the Romans. If I could ever get out of here, I'd kill every one of them. Walk back and forth in that stinking little jail. And finally, he heard the guards coming as he slumped down. He thought, this is it, Barabbas. Take it like a man. Stand up here. They're going to come to execute you. The guard opened the door. He started to undo his chains. And he said, Barabbas, you're free. Barabbas says, what do you mean? I'm free. Guard says, you ever hear about Jesus? Jesus of Nazareth? Barabbas goes, yeah, I heard about him. I heard that he had done some really neat things. He healed the blinded man, made him see, and he even raised a man from the dead. Yeah, I heard about Jesus. Well, the governor has Jesus, and they tried to let Jesus go and have have you condemned?" But the people yelled, "Get rid of Jesus! Give us Barabbas! Crucify Jesus! Give us Barabbas!" 3 times, the guard said. 3 times, Barabbas. The guard tried to have you executed and Jesus set free, but the people were turning into a riot. They began to yell, "Crucify Jesus! Get rid of Jesus! Give us Barabbas!" Undid his chains and he said, "Now, get out of here as fast as you can." Barabbas dropped his chains and he ran out there. When he came outside, there he was. There was all kinds of people standing alongside the road. It looked like a parade. And as he was watching, here comes this man. It looked like he'd been in a fight. His eyes was all black and the blood was coming out from his mouth where he'd been punched. It looked like somebody had grabbed hold of his beard and ripped out a big handful of it. It was all bloody, beat up. There was this thing around his head. As Barabbas looked a little bit closer, it looked like thorns had been turned into a circle. And those thorns were pounded into Jesus' head. And Barabbas says, hey, who's that?" As he looked, the man also was carrying the cross member of the cross, the Roman execution. He said, "Hey, who is that?" One of the persons standing goes, "That's Jesus. Oh, man, they say he's from Nazareth. They say he's the Son of God. Look at some Son of God, eh?" As Barabbas watched, he watched this man, this Jesus, coming towards him. And as he was coming closer towards him, all of a sudden, Barabbas watched. And right in front of Barabbas, Jesus fell down. And the blood from the whipping and the blood from being beat up splattered all over Barabbas. The Roman guard yelled, "Get up, Jesus!" Jesus tried to get up. And Barabbas looked. And Jesus tried to get up. Once more, the Roman guard says, "Get up, Jesus!" He couldn't get up. The Roman guard looked around, and there, standing right beside Barabbas, was a man from Cyrene named Simon. And he said, You pick up his cross!" And Simon says, "I don't." Roman guard says, pulled out his sword, "You do it!" He picked it up, the cross. And as they grabbed Jesus and hoisted him up, the blood and the sweat was still all over Barabbas. And Jesus says, "This blood," he looked right at Barabbas, he said, "This blood is for you. It's for you." Well, they grabbed Jesus and they walked him outside the city. His back was all bleeding from the whipping. The blood and the dirt all mixed in his face. His eye was all blackened where he'd been beat up. As he carried him, as he walked along, Barabbas followed along with them. That's the whole crowd. They led him outside the city. When they led him outside the city, they took him to the cross, to the hill. They threw down the cross beam off of Simon's shoulders, grabbed Jesus, threw him down on the cross. Then one of the Roman guards said, "Hey, let me do it." They took the big nail. They took the hammer, stretched out Jesus' hand, and he stepped on Jesus' hand, and he drove the nail. Boom! As he drove the nail through Jesus' hand, Jesus' head violently spun towards the Roman guard, and the blood and the sweat got all over the Roman guard, and Jesus said, "It's for you." Grabbed another nail, grabbed another hammer, boom! And then one more, they crossed his feet, and Boom! 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 And they drove it through his feet. And then they lifted up Jesus on the cross. Dropped it in the hole. And everybody stood around and watched. And from 12 o'clock, when the sun should be the brightest, now the sky turned absolutely black. And from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, there were no stars. There was no moon. It was just black. And Jesus hung on the cross. And everybody watched. And Barabbas watched. He got a little bit closer. When he got a little bit closer, he looked up. And here there was blood coming from Jesus' hand. It was coming down and dripping off of his elbow. And it landed right on Barabbas. And Barabbas looked at it. And when he looked at it, he remembered when he was a little boy when he went to the synagogue. They read the scriptures. And it said, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. And as they dropped that cross in the sand, that thump was in his mind. And he could hear it. It was like Jesus was saying, Barabbas, it's for you. Barabbas, this blood's for you. Barabbas, this blood's for you.
There I stood in the crowd, weeping silently, as Jesus Christ, the sinless man, died. There he hung on that tree, looking with love at me, the sinner that should have died.
Well, at 3 o'clock, all of a sudden, there was this huge earthquake. And all of a sudden, everybody began to fall down, including Barabbas and the soldiers. Everybody fell down. And as they fell down, then Barabbas looked up at the cross.
He took my place, for all the sin that's in me, he took my place. It was his love for me that kept him there, hanging where I should be. So now I'm free, because he took my place. He took my place.
When Jesus was hanging on the cross, he cried out, "It is finished!" Dropped his head. And with that again, the earth began to shake. And he fell down. And when he stood back up, he looked. And there, Jesus had died.
From the sight, I could not bear to see the place where I should have died. But his eyes drew mine back, and they told me it was his choice to be there in my place.
Jesus had died. He started to think about it. I was the murderer. I was the thief. It should have been me on the cross. But Jesus took my place. I should have been the one being executed, but he took my place. They said he was the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. He took my place. Oh, I gotta think about this. I gotta think about this. Jesus died for me. Jesus took my place.
He took my place. For all the sin that's in me took my place. It was his love for me that kept him there, hanging where I should be. So now I'm free because he took my place. He took my place. He took my place. For all the sin that's in me took my place. It was his love for me that kept him there, hanging where I should be. So now I'm free because he took my place. He took my place. He took my place. He took my place.
But our story doesn't end here. We don't know if or what decision Barabbas made about Jesus after Jesus took his place on the cross. But we do know that the choice Barabbas could have made on that day long ago, we have the option to make as well, because Jesus also took our place. After Jesus died that day, he was put into a brand new tomb that had been cut out of a rock, and a huge stone was put in front of the door. Early in the morning of the third day, there was another earthquake, and that earthquake threw that stone right away from the grave. And Jesus is alive. Inside the tomb, which is believed to be where Jesus was put after he died, there is now a sign that says, "He is not here, for he is risen." And Jesus did all of this because he loves us so much. Jesus died for all the bad things we have done, so that when we die, we can go and live in heaven with him forever. It's as easy as A, B, C. A, admit you have done wrong things. They make God sad. B, believe that Jesus died on the cross for you and came back to life again 3 days later. C, confess or tell Jesus you are sorry for the bad things you have done and want to follow him. Then D, decide to follow Jesus with your whole heart. He is risen. He is risen indeed.